The key stopped halfway, metal grinding like a bad tooth. I tried again, harder this time, until my knuckles went white against the cold brass. From inside my own house, Brooke's voice floated out, bright, sharp, cold. "You don't live here anymore, old lady." "Hi, my dears. Grace here. Before we continue, tell me something. If someone locked you out of your own home, what would you do first? Call family, a lawyer, or the police? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm Evelyn Carter. I'm 74 years old, and I stood on my own front step, a bag of groceries cutting into my wrist. 2 lemons, apricot preserves, and a tiny tin of saffron I bought on a whim because it smelled like sunlight. The porch boards were damp from a thin rain. My breath came out in short, shocked puffs. "Brooke," I said, keeping my voice steady, "open the door." "Noah's not home," she answered, "and I'm not letting you in." "This is my address," I replied. "My name is on the deed." Her laugh slipped through the wood like something oily. "Not anymore. You signed what you needed to sign." My stomach tightened. "I didn't sign anything." "You did," she sang. "You're old, you forget." I set the groceries down carefully, like they might shatter and prove her point. Then I pulled out my phone and called my son. It rang and rang. Voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. Behind the door, Brooke started humming like I was a stray cat scratching at her porch. "Put Noah on," I said. "He told me to handle this. You don't get to run this house like it's your little kingdom anymore." "We?" I repeated softly. "You live here because I allowed it," she said, sharp and satisfied, "and now you don't." The words settled heavy in the air. "Go find bingo and pudding cups, and don't come back with a locksmith. The police will back me up." That didn't scare me. It warned me. Because confident people, they usually have paperwork. I picked up the groceries, walked back down the steps, and placed them on the passenger seat of my car. The saffron tin rolled gently, tapping the door like a quiet metronome. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Noah. "Mom, please don't do anything dramatic. I'll call later." Later, like this was a scheduling issue. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened a folder on my phone labeled House, photos of my deed, property tax statements, insurance papers. I had taken them months ago after a friend warned me over lunch. Families get strange when money and property are involved. I had laughed back then, said, "Not mine." I drove straight to the precinct. At the front desk, Officer Martinez listened without interrupting. When I showed him the documents on my phone, something in his expression changed, from polite to focused. "If you're the legal owner," he said, "and someone is refusing entry, we can do a civil standby. We'll be there while a locksmith rekeys the locks." Relief hit me so fast my eyes stung. "My medications are inside. Blood pressure pills, inhaler." He nodded once. "That matters." Outside, I called a locksmith. "This is Evelyn Carter. I need my locks changed today. Police will be present. I can prove ownership." A pause. Then, "If police are there and you have proof, I'll come. Send me the address." I gave it to him like a declaration. Driving back, I stared at my hands on the wheel. Yes, they were old hands, but they were steady. Brooke wanted me small, helpless, confused. Instead, she reminded me of something I hadn't used in a long time. I don't beg. We pulled up together, the patrol car ahead of me. My house looked the same, but it wasn't. A small black camera now sat under the eaves, angled straight at the porch, watching me like I was the intruder. Officer Martinez stepped out. "Stay close," he said. We walked up together. He knocked. "Police department. Ma'am, open the door." Brooke's voice came through again, smooth now, sweet. "Officer, Evelyn doesn't live here anymore. She signed papers." "I need you to step outside," he said. "No, Noah has power of attorney." Power of attorney. Heavy words. Dangerous ones. "I didn't sign anything," I called out. "If she says I did, she can show it." The curtain twitched, then nothing. Martinez checked my ID, nodded. "We'll stay here while the locksmith works. If she interferes, we document it." The locksmith arrived, took one look at the patrol car. "All right, ma'am." Inside, Brooks started shouting, words like weapons. "Illegal! Lawyer! Noah!" The first screw came out with a sharp metallic squeal, then the second, then the third. The drill bit into the lock. Hot metal filled the air. Suddenly, the door jerked open from the inside, still chained. Her eye appeared in the gap. Perfect mascara, twisted mouth. "You're unbelievable," she said. "No," I replied calmly. "I'm documented." I stepped inside. At first glance, nothing had changed, but then I saw it. A manila folder on the console table, my name written across it, in her handwriting. I walked toward it. She moved fast, hand slamming over it. "That's private." "It has my name on it." "You wouldn't understand." Martinez spoke. "If it concerns her property, she has a right to see it." A flicker. Panic. Then she shoved it at me. "Fine, look." Inside, power of attorney documents. My name, Noah's name, a signature at the bottom, my signature. Except it wasn't. Every curve too careful, every loop too stiff, like someone had studied it and copied it slowly. Something shifted inside me. Not fear, not sadness, clarity. "This is forged," I said. She smiled. "Prove it." I looked at Martinez. "I want this documented as suspected fraud." That smile flickered, and in that moment I knew she hadn't expected me to fight like this. I walked up the steps slowly, deliberately, like each footstep carried its own decision. Brooke didn't move. She wanted a reaction. She didn't get one. "No," I said calmly, meeting her eyes. "He didn't scare me." A pause. "I don't scare easily." That landed. You could see it in the way her posture shifted, just slightly, but enough. Noah stepped up behind me, quieter now, like he wasn't sure where he stood anymore. "Brooke," he said, voice low, "we need to talk." Her expression hardened instantly. "We already did talk," she snapped. "You just chose her side." I turned the key, my key, into the new lock. It clicked open. Control restored in the smallest but most undeniable way. "I didn't choose sides," Noah replied, stepping inside after me. "I chose reality." That word echoed. Reality. Brooke followed us in, the door shutting a little too hard behind her. "You're both overreacting," she said, tossing her bag onto the counter like none of this mattered. "Nothing actually happened." I set my folder down carefully on the table. "That's where you're wrong," I said. "Everything happened." Silence stretched across the room. Not empty silence, heavy silence. The kind that forces truth to sit in the middle whether anyone wants it there or not. I opened the folder and slid the notarized statement across the table. Fresh ink. Official. Unquestionable. "I've formally documented my capacity," I said, "and revoked any possibility of unauthorized control." Brooke didn't touch the paper, didn't even look at it. Instead, she laughed. Short, sharp. "So what? You think a few documents change anything?" "No," I replied evenly. "They confirm everything." That's when Noah finally looked at her, not with confusion this time, but with clarity. "Did you ever plan to tell me?" he asked. Her jaw tightened. "I was protecting us." "No," he said quietly. "You were protecting a version of the future you decided without us." That hit harder than anything I'd said, because it came from him. Brooke's composure cracked, not dramatically, but enough. "You have no idea what things cost now. You think this house just runs itself? You think your mother can manage everything forever?" "I manage what's mine," I said calmly, "and I decide when I need help." She turned to me sharply. "And when is that? When it's too late?" I stepped closer, not aggressively, just enough to remove distance. "You don't get to schedule my decline." That silenced her, completely. For a moment, there was nothing left for her to argue. No angle, no spin, just truth standing there. Noah exhaled slowly, like something inside him had finally settled into place. "What happens now?" he asked. I didn't hesitate. "Now," I said, "we proceed properly." I began counting, not dramatically, but precisely. Banks are notified. Accounts are flagged. Legal protection is in motion. And if necessary, I paused just long enough, charges will be filed. Brooke scoffed again, but it sounded weaker now. "You'd really do that to family?" I held her gaze. "You stopped acting like family the moment you tried to replace me." That was it. No raised voice, no tears, just clarity. And clarity is far more dangerous than anger. Upstairs, the house creaked softly, like it was adjusting to a new reality. Because that's what this was. Not a fight, a shift. Brooke grabbed her bag again, tighter this time. "This isn't over," she muttered. "No," I said calmly. "It's just no longer yours to control." She hesitated at the door just for a second, like she might say something else. But she didn't. She left. The door closed behind her, this time quietly. Noah stood there, staring at the space she'd just occupied. "I didn't see it," he said finally. "I know. That was the difference between us. He trusted, I observed. He believed, I verified." He looked at me, something heavier in his expression now. "What do you need from me?" I considered that, not emotionally, practically. "Honesty," I said, "and attention." He nodded, this time slower, like he understood what that actually meant. I picked up my onyx pen again, rolling it once between my fingers. 40 years ago, it was a gift. Today, it was a reminder. I still sign my own life, and no one, no matter how close, gets to rewrite it. Harold had advised me to document every contact from her going forward. Her eyes flicked to Noah. "You're recording me now?" "No," I said evenly, "but I don't need to. You've said enough." She let out a loud, artificial laugh. "This is insane. You're tearing this family apart because you're too proud to admit you need help." "I need help with gutters," I replied calmly, "not guardianship." Noah stepped between us. "Brooke, why didn't you just talk to her?" "I tried," she snapped. "She shuts down every conversation about the future." "The future of what?" I asked. "My estate or your lifestyle?" Her face flushed instantly. "You think I married you for your house?" she fired at Noah. "That's not what I said," he answered quietly, but now it was in his eyes. "The question," Brooke's voice rose, "is reality. We have student loans. We have a mortgage. We have plans. And she's sitting on a fully paid house like it's a museum." "I am sitting," I corrected, calm and precise, "in the house I paid for with money I earned over decades." She stepped closer, her voice dropping low and sharp. "You won't live forever." There it was again. Not concern. A timeline. Noah visibly recoiled. "Brooke, what?" It's reality, she snapped. We have to think ahead. Thinking ahead, I said quietly, does not include forging my signature and locking me out. She turned to Noah again. You're just going to let her humiliate me like this? He didn't answer. The wind stirred the maple leaves above us. Under the eaves, the small black camera blinked red. I noticed it. You installed that? I asked. For security, she said. For watching me, I replied. Her lips tightened. I walked to the front door, running my hand over the new lock. Solid, clean, mine. Brooke, I said evenly, you have two choices. You can stay here as my guest under my conditions, or you can leave. Her eyes widened. You can't evict me. I can revoke permission, I replied. You have no lease, no ownership, no power of attorney. She turned to Noah desperately. Say something. He swallowed. Maybe we should give Mom some space. That was the moment her mask cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough. You're choosing her? She said flatly. No, he whispered. I'm choosing what's legal. She stared at him like she didn't recognize him. Then she turned back to me, her voice colder than anger. You think you've won. I held her gaze. I didn't start a war. I ended a trespass. Silence stretched between us. Then she grabbed her purse from the hall table with a sharp, jerking motion. This isn't over. No, I said calmly, it isn't. She stormed out, gravel crunching beneath her tires. But by late afternoon, she was back. The car wasn't parked, it was angled, defiant. I was in the living room reviewing copies of the notarized statement Harold had prepared when the door opened without a knock. She walked in like nothing had happened. No apology, no acknowledgement, just tension wrapped in lipstick. Noah came down the stairs immediately. Brooke, I live here, she cut in sharply. You live here because my mother allows it. And the moment he said it out loud, something shifted again. Her eyes snapped toward him. So that's the new script? No, he said quietly, that's the truth. She turned to me. No pretense left now. You're enjoying this. I'm stabilizing my life. She tossed her purse onto the chair, crossing her arms. You think a lawyer and a police report scare me? Nothing was filed. Nothing was transferred. There's no loss. Attempted fraud is still fraud, I replied. You can't prove intent, she shot back. Intent is shown through pattern. You gathered deed copies, practiced my signature, attempted financial updates, changed my locks. Her jaw tightened. Noah stepped forward. Brooke, why did you rush this? I didn't rush, she snapped. I planned. There it was again. Planned. For what timeline? I asked. She hesitated. For when she's not capable anymore. I am capable now, I replied. That won't last forever, she shot back. And your solution, I said quietly, was to accelerate it? Noah inhaled sharply. You're twisting everything, she snapped. I was protecting our future. At my expense. Silence. Then her expression shifted again, calculating, quieter. Fine, she said slowly. Let's be practical. If you're so certain nothing can touch you, show us the will. Noah blinked. Brooke? What? If she trusts us so little, maybe she doesn't intend to leave anything to you. I didn't flinch. My will is private. So that's a yes, she said. That's none of your business. Her breathing quickened now, not anger, something closer to desperation. Are you planning to cut him out? I am planning, I said carefully, to protect myself. Noah's voice strained. Mom, I don't care about the money. Then this conversation shouldn't matter. He looked at Brooke. She looked away. That told me everything. Then her phone buzzed loud. She glanced at it, and for the first time, real alarm crossed her face. What? Noah asked. She turned the screen away too quickly. Brooke, he said, firmer now, what is it? It's nothing.
but her hands weren't steady. I didn't move. I didn't need to. The air had changed. She wasn't controlling the moment anymore. She was reacting. "Noah," she said quietly, "not in front of her. In front of me," I corrected. "This is my house." Her jaw tightened, but she handed the phone to him. He looked down. Confusion, then disbelief, then something colder. "Brooke," he said slowly, "what is this?" She snatched the phone back. "It's a misunderstanding." "From who?" I stood slowly. "What misunderstanding?" Noah looked at me. "It's from the bank. They flagged an attempted submission of power of attorney documentation this morning. Digital upload. Rejected. Signature inconsistency." Everything inside me stilled. This wasn't future planning. This was today. While I was at Harold's office, I looked at her. "You said nothing was filed." "It wasn't finalized," she snapped. "It was just sent for review." "While I was sitting with my attorney?" She didn't answer. Noah's voice hardened. "You told me you were done with this." "I was protecting us." "Once it's processed, everything would have been easier." "For who?" I asked. "For us." "For access?" I replied. Her control broke. "You don't understand the pressure we're under." "Pressure," I said evenly, "does not entitle you to steal control." She was unraveling now. Noah stepped back like he needed distance. "You submitted forged documents today, after the police were here?" "It was already drafted," she insisted. "I just clicked send." "You clicked send?" That's when it hit him. This wasn't fear. This was acceleration. "I want to see the email." "You're not entitled to my private accounts." "I am entitled to see evidence involving my identity." She didn't move. Noah reached for the phone again. This time she let him. He scrolled. "It's addressed to a financial advisory firm. Subject, POA submission urgent." "Read it," I said. He hesitated. Then he did. "Attached is the executed power of attorney granting authority to manage accounts and property for Evelyn Carter. Please expedite processing due to health concerns." Health concerns. The words landed cold. "What health concerns?" I asked softly. Her composure shattered. "You're 74. That's the concern." "No diagnosis, no evaluation, just age? You can't pretend time isn't real." "I don't," I said quietly. "I respect it. You weaponize it." Noah lowered the phone slowly. "You told them she had declining capacity." She didn't answer. I looked at him. "Do I?" He met my eyes. Really looked. "No." And just like that, the room cleared. I picked up Harold's folder. Today, I filed documentation affirming my full capacity. I notified my bank, flagged my accounts. Tomorrow, I meet with the fraud department. Her breathing sped up. "You don't have proof I sent that." I tilted my head slightly. "The metadata will." That landed hard. Noah dragged a hand over his face. "Why would you risk this?" "Because she would never fight back," she snapped, turning on me. "She avoids conflict. She cares too much about appearances." "You miscalculated," I said. Her eyes changed. Not anger, fear. "You can't push me out," she whispered. "I don't have to. You're doing that yourself." Noah's voice was steady now. "Brooke, if there's even a chance this becomes criminal, you need to stop right now." "Stop what?" she demanded. "Everything." Silence. Then she stepped back slowly, clutching her purse.
Your mom is upset, I understand, but if she takes this to the police as forgery, it'll ruin everything. It didn't ruin everything, I said calmly. It exposed everything. She stepped closer to the table, palms open. What do you want? Just tell me what you want. There it was. Not an apology, a negotiation. I lifted my coffee and took a slow sip. I want my life back, fully, quietly, permanently. Brooke nodded too quickly. Okay, great, we can do that. I'll back off." "No," I said evenly. "Not back off. You will leave." Her expression froze. Noah's head snapped toward me. Then he exhaled, like he'd expected those words, but still wasn't ready to hear them. "You can't just throw me out," Brooke snapped. "I can revoke permission for you to be in my home, today." She turned to Noah, desperate. "Tell her." Noah didn't move. "Brooke, you locked my mother out of her own house. So she's punishing me?" Brooke hissed. "She's protecting herself," Noah said quietly. That quiet sentence did more damage than shouting ever could. Her face flushed. "So you're choosing her over your wife?" Noah's jaw tightened. "I'm choosing reality." Brooke's eyes flicked around the kitchen, calculating who to call, what angle to use, which version of the story might still work. Then she tried something uglier. She turned back to me, voice low and sharp. "You think you're safe because you have papers and a lawyer, but you're alone, you're old, and you need help whether you admit it or not." The word old landed like a blade. I set my mug down with a soft, deliberate click. "I am not alone," I said evenly. "I have a deed, a mind, and now a record." Noah's hands curled into fists. Brooke pressed on, faster now, the mask slipping. "If you kick me out, Noah will resent you, he'll regret it, and you'll sit here in this big house with your little tea and your little routines until something happens and no one finds you." "Stop," Noah snapped. She ignored him. "That's what you want, isn't it? Control until the end." I stood slowly, not threatening, just final. "I survived childbirth without anesthesia. I buried a good man. I paid this house off. You will not scare me with loneliness, because you're losing your leverage." Her breath hitched, then hardened again. "So what, you're calling the police?" "No," I replied. Relief flickered across her face. Then I finished. "Not right this second. I'm calling the fraud department and the detective assigned to my report, and I'm changing every access point you've ever touched, starting today." The relief vanished. "Brooke," Noah said, stepping forward, voice unsteady but firm. "Pack a bag, go to your sister's, we need space." She stared at him like he'd struck her. "You can't do this." "I can, because you did something I can't undo." Her eyes filled, not with regret, but rage. She stormed upstairs. Drawers slammed, hangers scraped, a suitcase dragged across the floor. I didn't follow. I opened my notebook instead and wrote everything down. Time, phrasing, admissions. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. "Evelyn Carter." "This is the bank's fraud department returning your call. We need to verify details regarding a power of attorney submission." I met Noah's eyes. "Good," I said, "because I have plenty of details." The officer's voice was calm. "Did you authorize any power of attorney?" "No." "Did you sign any documents granting authority to a third party?" "No." Typing in the background. "We will permanently reject the submission and escalate this internally. We also recommend filing an identity theft affidavit." "It's already underway," I said. "We'll need the name of the submitting party." I gave Brooke's full legal name, slowly, clearly. Upstairs, the noise stopped. "One more thing," the officer added. "The submission included a secondary request." My grip tightened. "What request?" "A preliminary property lien inquiry. Someone was exploring home equity options." The room seemed to tilt. Noah went pale. "Was anything filed?" I asked. "No, it was incomplete, but it was initiated." Initiated, not hypothetical, not protective, active. "Document that fully," I said quietly, "and send written confirmation to my new P.O. box." "You acted quickly," the officer said. "That matters." When the call ended, the silence felt different, clear. "She tried to leverage the house?" Noah whispered. "She explored it, that's enough." Footsteps descended. Brooke appeared, suitcase in hand, pale but defiant. "You're making me out to be a criminal," she said coldly. "You inquired about placing a lien against my house. That's not true. It's logged." She turned to Noah. "You believe this?" He hesitated, then, "The bank confirmed it." "It was hypothetical," she snapped.
No, I said softly. It was procedural. She stepped closer. Do you know the pressure we're under? You sit here with a fully paid house while we struggle. I worked for this house. Struggle is not permission. She laughed bitterly. You're going to sit on it until you die, aren't you? Yes, I said calmly, unless I choose otherwise. That answer enraged her more than anything. Did you plan to take equity without telling her? Noah asked. I was exploring solutions. To what problem? Our future. And hers? Silence. You think this ends well for you? She whispered to me. I think it ends legally. You're destroying your relationship with your son. Noah and I looked at each other, not as child and parent, as two people seeing the truth. I didn't forge anything, I said quietly. Her eyes flashed. You'll regret this. Perhaps, but I'll regret silence more. She turned and walked out. At the door, she paused. This isn't finished. No, I said. It's documented. The door closed. The house exhaled. Noah stood there staring at it. Mom, if this becomes criminal— It already is, I said gently. 2 days later, the detective called. I was in the garden, trimming rosemary. Ms. Carter, Detective Harris, we'd like you to come in and provide a formal statement. I'll be there this afternoon. Inside, Noah sat motionless. They called? He asked. Yes. Are you pressing charges? I am cooperating. At the precinct, the evidence was laid out. Forged POA, digital submission logs, lien inquiry attempt, metadata, timestamps, IP address. She submitted this after police had already visited your home, Detective Harris said. That matters. I gave my statement, clear, factual, complete. When I finished, she folded her hands. We have probable cause for attempted identity theft, fraud, and forgery. Whether charges are filed is up to the district attorney, but this is not minor. No triumph, just finality. That afternoon, 2 patrol cars pulled into my driveway. I stood at the window as Brooke stepped out of a rideshare. Confusion, then realization, then fear. An officer approached her calmly. She protested, explained, insisted, but the officers didn't change. She turned to the house, at me. For the first time, she didn't look powerful, just wrong. Noah stood beside me. I didn't think it would go this far. She did, I said. They guided her to the car. She didn't resist. The door closed with a final, heavy sound. This wasn't revenge. This was consequence. And for the first time since my key jammed in that lock, I felt something close to peace.
I put the kettle on again, my reliable old ritual, and set 2 slices of bread into the toaster. The smell of warm crust filled the air, soft and familiar, making the house feel lived in, like it still belonged to me, not like a battlefield someone else had claimed. Noah sat across from me at the table. When he finally spoke, his voice was so small it almost irritated me. She said you never respected her. I buttered the toast slowly, deliberately. Respect isn't something you demand while stealing. He nodded, eyes fixed on the table, shoulders heavy. I was just trying to keep the peace. I know, I said quietly, but peace isn't real if it's built on my silence. That afternoon, I moved like a woman preparing for a storm, steady, focused, no wasted motion. Every call I made felt like driving a nail into something solid. I called the post office and confirmed my mail forwarding to a P.O. box. Then my insurance company added a note, no changes without in-person verification and 2 forms of ID. Next, my investment firm. I requested a verbal passphrase, something no one could guess. Pachoo, I said. Noah blinked. Why that? Because it's ridiculous, and because Brooke wouldn't recognize it if it slapped her in the face. For the first time in days, he almost smiled. But it didn't last. By evening, I had a security company scheduled for the next morning. Cameras, alarm system, door sensors, a keypad code no one else would ever know. I wasn't turning my house into a fortress because I was afraid. I was doing it because boundaries should exist in the real world, not just in words. When the technician arrived, he moved efficiently from room to room, tablet in hand. "Who lives here?" he asked. "Me," I answered. He glanced at Noah. "And him?" "He's visiting." Noah didn't object, he just lowered his eyes. After the technician left, I sat in the living room and opened a small wooden box I hadn't touched in years. Photographs. Noah as a boy, grinning with missing front teeth. Noah at graduation. Noah struggling to hold a fishing rod bigger than he was. My husband stood beside him in every picture, until suddenly he didn't. I didn't cry. I just sat there, absorbing something simple and brutal. Love does not guarantee loyalty. It never has. That night, there was a quiet knock on my bedroom door. "Mom, I'm thinking of staying at a hotel." "That's wise," I said. He hesitated. "Do you hate me?" I looked at him for a long moment. "Noah, hate would be easier. What I feel is disappointment and relief that I finally woke up." His face tightened. "I'm sorry." "I know, but sorry doesn't rewind anything. It just decides what you do next." He nodded and left. That night, I slept deeply for the first time since the lock had jammed. The next morning, I met Harold again. He placed a stack of documents in front of me. "A revised will," he said, "and a living trust if you prefer. You can also appoint a neutral third party as executor, someone who can't be pressured." I read slowly. "Does this mean I'm cutting Noah out?" "It means," Harold replied calmly, "that you're making decisions with clear eyes." Clear eyes. That was the phrase I needed. I didn't sign anything that day, not out of hesitation, but intention. Every decision deserved to be deliberate, not emotional. On the way home, I stopped at a small bakery and bought a box of pastries, the kind with caramelized edges that crackle when you bite them. Layers of butter and sugar holding together stubbornly. At home, I sat at my kitchen table with coffee and one pastry. The house was quiet, but it wasn't empty. It was mine, and whatever came next, court dates, paperwork, Noah's choices, I would face it as myself, not as the helpless old woman Brooke tried to turn me into. I got my keys back in the most ordinary way. No drama, no shouting, no grand moment, just a manila envelope delivered to Harold's office, my name typed neatly across the front, and a receipt to sign. Inside, my original spare keys, a copy Brooke had made without permission, and a carefully worded letter from her attorney, heavy on misunderstanding, light on responsibility. Harold slid the keys toward me. "These are yours, legally and practically." I picked them up. The cool metal felt familiar, grounding. Suddenly, I was back on my porch the moment the key refused to turn, the humiliation she tried to pin on me. Not anymore. "Is it over?" I asked. Harold didn't soften it. "The criminal side will proceed as the district attorney decides, but the immediate threat, access, authority, financial interference, that's contained. You acted quickly." Contained, like a fire stopped before it could spread. When I stepped outside, Noah was waiting. He stood up when he saw the keys in my hand. They gave them back. They had to. We walked into the cold air together. "She called me," he said, "from her sister's place. She wants me to convince you to drop everything." I looked at him. "And what did you say?" I said, "I can't ask you to ignore the truth." I held his gaze. "Good." He swallowed. "She says you've ruined her life." "Noah," gently, "your wife tried to take mine." He flinched but didn't argue. We drove separately. When I pulled into my driveway, I sat there for a moment. The trees tapped softly against each other in the wind. The new security camera blinked under the eaves. The alarm panel glowed near the door. For the first time in days, I wasn't afraid to walk inside.
The house smelled of coffee, wood, and lemon oil. Home. I placed the keys on the counter, then picked them back up. One by one, I slid them onto a new ring. A small brass tag hung from it. Property owner. Blunt, almost amusing, but I liked it. Noah arrived an hour later. I found a place, he said, short-term rental. That's wise, I said. He hesitated. I don't know what happens to us. I do, I said calmly. You decide what kind of man you are when there's a cost. He looked down. I should have stopped her. Yes, I said, you should have. No softness left to give. He looked up again. Can we start over? Not like before, just honestly. I studied him. My son, my child, a grown man who let someone call me old lady and hoped it would pass. I'm willing to rebuild, I said slowly, but it will be slow and it will be on terms that protect me. He nodded. Anything. I need you to understand this, I said clearly. Love is not access. Family is not permission. I understand. That evening, I sat alone and wrote a short list. Not dramatic, just clear. My mail stays at the P.O. box. No one keeps spare keys without my written consent. Any legal authority is discussed with me, in daylight, with my attorney present. My home remains mine until I decide otherwise. I folded the paper and placed it beside the timeline of Brooke's actions. Evidence beside boundaries, past beside future. That night, I stood at my front door one last time. I turned the key, smooth, certain, mine. Then the deadbolt clicked into place, and I walked back into my house without looking behind me. My dears, you just watched a woman refuse to disappear quietly. Now tell me, was she right to let the law take its course, or should she have stopped once she got her keys back? Like, subscribe, and share your honest thoughts below.